Okie dokie, right, Bal. Today we're going to talk about something that we've probably faced quite a bit through our career to certain extents, which is the left brain and the right brain, the thinkers and the doers, which is one of the reasons why we like to say at Auden that we have thinkers and doers. And one of the bits that we've been working on quite a bit recently with our clients is SOP manuals and standards and processes and in speech marks, for those who might not be watching, the boring stuff that sometimes people forget.
Yawn. Oh,
Yeah, exactly right. And it's a common thing, isn't it? Going into operations. I did a poll on Sunday on LinkedIn, which was asking people, do they have SOPs in place? Could they be better? And I think there was probably more people. I don't have the exact stats. I probably should have prepared that. I'll find them as you're talking. But people were saying that they could do better was the resounding effect. So yeah, process. This is going to be an interesting one.
mate, everybody hates process, but process, mate. It's probably ingrained into us, I think,
Mm.
process, you know, even like when we attacking creative projects, you know, we have a process, when we're putting a concept together, whatever, we have a process. So there's a time and place for it. And I think this is the time, this is the place. So
Mm.
look, my
Let's
whole
do
life grew up in the franchise world, Mackey's, Subway, that kind of thing, right?
it. Mm.
Uh, and they wouldn't be where they are today without
Yep.
due process and SOPs and everything. People like to manuals like to collect dust, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think as far as thinkers and doers goes, this is kind of a bit of both.
Yep.
Probably more of the thinking side if you have to get into a business or a client that's got loads that they want you to kind of put down on
Yep.
paper.
Yep.
So and then the doing bit is really making sure the formats are right, readable, all that easy language. Um, but yeah, process, mate. You've come from a quite a process-led background yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, hotels generally, I mean, they're renowned for process, right? But usually it's the wrong type of process. And I think this is the one for me that really helps give the team knowledge on what the expectation is. And certainly when we've been working on the standards that we've done, now more than ever, personality and being individual is really important in F&B. But I think we've got to have that element where we're creating frameworks for people so they understand where the lines are and where they can paint inside the lines and when they can paint outside the lines. And that's the bit that I think is super important is don't mix up what we talk about today being process on being something that might restrict or almost have rules
Mm.
around it. It's very
Yeah,
much around creating frameworks for people to understand what the expectation is, the standards of the brand or concept are, and then where they can bring their own touch to it or where they might have to fall in line. And I think one of the projects we've been working on is with one of the large um, hotel brands with some of their brands that are going to scale across a couple of locations or multiple locations. And creating that framework that people can work towards has been super important, hasn't it? So I guess if someone's listening to this now and is like, okay, I've got no SOPs, I don't know where to start, what should I do? Um, where would you start? What are the things that you would look at first to start mapping out what that would look like? And I guess it could probably give a little bit of an insight into what we're doing with
yeah,
large hotel brand, individual restaurant scaling businesses as well.
yeah. There's a few layers to it, but like generally, that's something we get asked often, right? Oh, I got no SOPs, got no manuals. Like I don't know what. Start where you are.
Mm.
You're doing something, right? You're operating a business of a sort. So start where you are, what you're doing, we can take it from there. Even if it's you've just got something you've downloaded from the web or something you're following from that the EHO give you or the government kind of local authority websites or whatever. I'm talking like, compliance. Yeah, I know that's a bit boring, but um, I would start kind of where they are in the sense, uh, let's look at how they want things done. What are like kind of core things for them? As far as, we have to make our burger this way.
Mm.
We have to greet our guests this way. Our tables must be laid this way because that's who we are professed to be. So you kind of go with some non-negotiables, I guess, and go like, what does everyone have to do every day, all the time? Then you will go, okay, let's start with service. And then you can go sequence of service and help kind of break them down. And you can just jot down, or they may go, oh, like, actually, we got this. And it might be something on a little scribbled bit of paper. They might have an Excel document, and that's enough.
Mm.
That's enough to work with. They already have a process. They just haven't formalized it, I guess.
Mm.
So you start with what they got. You see what the kind of core things are, and you see like where do they see this going and why do they want it to be in a certain way? They may be going, okay, we've had loads of interest. We want to franchise our brand, right? Then you go, okay, we know where this want to go. So you're looking at when we're building it, you're looking at can we potentially build it to grow and scale and make it very standardized? Or have they got loads of unique sites and loads of unique operations where you have to kind of dig deep and ask them loads of questions, understand the nuances. Like I think you mentioned it right at the beginning about tone and language and how they want it to read. So yeah, probably go with the bits they have, and then you can take it from there and just build layers about what they want to do. And with like one of our clients, they had, quite a substantial brand deck, but that's it. Right? Look, feel, colors, fonts, all that. That's good. That's good. It's a great place to be. And, they're probably in the top 1%, I would say.
Probably, yeah.
People look at that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
launch that brand. So I would take what you got, try to make some sort of sense, put it into some sort of order or sequence, and then go from there. But the main bit, I think, if you want to kind of sum it up, is hear them out, hear what they got to say, and really kind of dig deep and ask questions. That's one of the things I can't
Yeah.
remember how you put it in one of your videos. I think we were in the New Forest once, and you said we do three things:
Mm.
listen,
This is
observe.
a test now, right? This is a
Yeah,
test.
yeah. Listen,
Listen,
observe, and then
observe.
listen was definitely in there. Analyze, I think maybe.
Analyze was definitely in
Implement,
there.
right. Anyway, I got them all in the wrong order, but you know where I'm getting at. Maybe you can kind of elaborate on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go into businesses, especially existing businesses, and they have the information there, don't they? The
Mm.
problem is
Yeah.
it's just not in a framework, a process written down, as you say. And you touched on the right word for me, which is what this is all about, which is consistency. And consistency is number one, because we all know consistency leads to revenue. It prevents turnover and all this type of stuff that helps kind of profitability in the end. So I think that going in, listening, observing, analyzing, there was your three. Uh, it's super important. If you're starting a brand from scratch, it's really about understanding what the principles are of the brand, what the main touch points are of the brand, what are the values of the brand that have been
Yeah.
created,
Yeah.
and then look at how you can get those built into the service elements that you're going to create so that everything always feels like it's connected. And I think, I'm one of these where and we've been working on it a lot with some of our brands is that whole the way things are presented, the font that you use, the colors that you use, the way that you word even a simple sequence of service, even how you might word how do you take an order as a simple, really simple SOP, making sure that it feels like the brand so that when people are seeing it, it kind of gives over the portrayal of what it's supposed to be. Like if you create a document that's just got really like professional wording when you've got a fun, cool brand, the person reading it is just going to disconnect with the information in it, whether the information is right or wrong, because it just doesn't feel like the brand.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're going to have hired that person because they're fun, they're engaging, they're exciting, they can be curious
yeah.
and all the rest of it. So you've got to make sure that the people you're hiring are the people who the SOP is written for the people that you're hiring. Otherwise, there's just going to be a disconnect and people will ignore it. Because how many times have we walked into places and there has been SOPs, but there's been 1 inch of dust sitting on top because people
Always, always,
don't
yeah.
read them, right?
Yeah,
So
like the disconnect thing is important, Scott, because as soon as they've gone, oh, it's just another manual, or that's too much to read, or that's boring, you're just not going to get that output on the floor. It's
mm,
just not going to happen. You have a sort of a chance with the manual
mm.
because the manual is a guide, right? It's not how you would do it with your people because you have to do it with you. You have to do it shoulder to shoulder, side by side, all of that sort of jazz. But like, if you don't get it right in the manual, like the language, like you're saying, and make sure it's engaging and it's not very, very wordy, because not everyone is going to learn that whatever it may be through text and through just boring black and white Times Roman, right?
I mean, that
Right.
was going to be my last point on this actually is I also think the way people are consuming process, framework, SOPs, whatever you might want to call them, has changed as well. So when we've done our SOPs manuals, we've created the detailed sequence of service. We've created the detailed how do you take orders, like how do you do a briefing. But what we've also delivered with it is what we call hints. And those hints are designed to go on a notice board. It's a one pager on what are the 5 simple steps of service, warm greeting, checking in with people, making it, personalized and recommending a dish, saying goodbye. Like we've simplified it into short snaps. And with another client, we're working on how we do 20 seconds, no more, build videos so that when a check comes through on the KDS, the video pops up, they can see how it's made and then they can do it like really quick, really simple. And I think if we think about maybe going back to the days of McDonald's when they were growing and Burger Kings, KFCs, Pizza Huts, all these type of guys, huge thick manuals, but actually that's not how people consume data anymore, content anymore. So it's that other piece for me is yes, have the content there, but also make sure that it's short and snappy, or you have a version of that, or then you put that onto video. That means people are going to digest it easier because that is the way that you'll get success.
Yeah, it's the mediums, right? It's the mediums you're
Mm.
using. So we talked about the hint sheets, and then you mentioned McDonald's. We had like an orientation video, and then we did have a massive, and it was like this thick. No one ever read that because the learning was done with a single sheet on the floor with your trainer. So you're kind of um in today's day and age, we got like social media, you got loads of cool apps you can use, app learning, gamification. If you can split that medium up and give the information in snippets, you're going to hit a lot more of the audience because you're going to have different types of learners, right? Like in the hint sheets that sit on that notice board wall when someone's on their break. Yeah, they're going to go, it might connect. And I think this is the thing, you want it to might connect because if you don't, it's definitely not going to connect, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, like
100%.
the mediums are important.
Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out to Blend, which is a platform I'm working with on training as well, which is
Yeah, brilliant.
TikTok, like a TikTok format, and it's
Yeah.
as easy to upload. We are blend.ai if people are looking at it because it really does help. Um, and the way these guys have built it around kind of the current workforce and what they're looking for in training and stuff is super, super cool. The other, and I know I said the last thing I want to touch on is that, but actually the last thing I want to touch on now is the other thing that I think has been really useful for businesses we work with, and this has been in businesses where we've had concept development as much as it is kind of solely focusing on the SOPs, is the lookbook, the way that you set up the business, and the way we develop it to be a tool that sits in the venue that can be pulled out, very visual, very to the point, Nothing too difficult. Someone could pick it up, walk around with it, and make sure the venue's set up. And again, that is for me is super important alongside the sequence of service, how to make a burger and all the rest, so that every time that gets opened, if the manager's off doing a morning meeting or something like that, the venue's always been set up properly. And I think that's probably my last tip for this episode is that really focus on giving your people the tools to deliver the standards even when you're not there in easy, simple ways.
Yeah, like, lookbooks are like we used to have shorter versions of them at Mackey's. Every time they're launching a new burger, they'll have a picture of a burger, splitting the burger like a dissect diagram. I don't know what you call them. You get me in car manuals, right? Three
Yeah.
dots for the sauce, two dots for this, da 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 da. And you see it and you get it straight away, and it's just an arrow saying that way, so you know what to do first. With the lookbook, again, visual, loads of pictures, short snippets of text. Yeah, really good. And we've done our fair share of lookbooks, haven't we?
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
it just makes it easy, doesn't it? It makes it easier for the
Yeah,
team
man.
because they can go and they can do it. It makes it easier for management because they know what they have to look for.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, it means that when the guest walks in, you're ready for service and you're ready to go. And that's the main thing, isn't it? So I think we've probably not touched on the scale of what goes into creating these manuals and all the different areas that we go into, and maybe we should probably do something on Notion and do like a simple checklist or something that people can
Yeah, yeah,
download
that'd
that
be
can
good.
go with this,
That'd be good.
because there's quite a lot that goes into it. But we're working with big brands, with independent restaurants, with department stores, uh, and large global groups as well to deliver these things. So it's a need. It's there. We're working on it a lot, and I'd encourage anyone to go back to the business and just have a look at it. So yeah, listen, thanks, Bal. We're gonna do
Anytime,
this.
mate. Of
We're gonna do this again, obviously.
course.
Seeing as this is the thing we're doing now. So yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right, cheerio. Bye.